competitions to see who could get the loudest and the most high pitch. Yes, Bing Bing, what do you think about being on camera? Now Bing here is a little burrowing owl, 6 ounces of pure cuteness, standing at roughly about 5.5 to 6 inches tall. Now don't let his size fool you, he has got a huge personality. He is our top troublemaker. Little Fagin, aren't you? Yes, Bing Bing. You're how old now, Bing Bing? Oh, he's 10 years old this year. Getting old, getting on, Bing Bing. In the wild they maybe live to 3, 4, 5 if they're very lucky. It's harsh out in the wild. Most birds of prey don't make it to their first birthday. However, Bing Bing here, he's well loved and looked after. He goes without want. And he could go on to maybe 12, 15 years old and possibly even a little bit older. Birds of prey in captivity can live very long lives these days. Across the Americas there are 18 subspecies of burrowing owl. Their preferred habitat is open countryside, grasslands, moorlands, desert regions, all sorts of areas, even towns and cities. And they often set up home in people's front yards and golf courses. And they're highly protected over there. If one of these guys comes and sets up home in your front yard out in America, it's your duty to stick up a sign to say that there are burrowing owls in the area and to give them a wide berth so the burrowing owls can go happily about their day. Now they can dig their own burrow. They've got beautiful stubby toes, ideal for digging. However, they prefer to take over an abandoned burrow, maybe something left behind by a prairie dog or gopher, or even under a garden shed. Quite weird for a bird to live underground in burrows. However, more birds live in burrows than you think. Two that spring to mind just off the top of my head are puffins and kakapos. And kakapos are a giant green New Zealand parrot, and they live on the ground, burrow in the roots of trees. And living underground does have its advantages for a burrowing owl. They are a diurnal species. They often come out in the day hunting. However, they like to avoid the midday heat. It gets too hot for them. So what they can do is go underground where it'll be a nice cool 22 degrees, but likewise if it gets too cold at night, because they do live in some really harsh desert regions. So if it gets too cold at night, again they can go underground where it will retain its temperature of 20. They're quite strategic little hunters. They take on a whole host of prey options, from insects, small birds, rodents, but rather than going out and hunting for their food, they're often known to go down to parks and beaches in the daytime, raid bin bags. And what they're looking for is a little bit of leftover picnic material, maybe an apple core. And what they'll do with it is take it back to their burrow. It could be an intercity burrow, down in an old alleyway somewhere, and what they'll do is leave it on the outskirts of the burrow, waiting for the insects to come to them. And as the creepy crawlies infest that bit of fruit, the burrowing owl can happily dine out without risking injury of catching his own food. Ones in more wilderness areas are known to actually line their burrow with other animal dung, and that will bring the insects into the burrow, which I think is great for their babies, their owlets, because they'll be able to learn to hunt from within the safety of the burrow for the first time. But it'll also have a second use for them. It'll mask any smell that there is owls in the area. So something like a wily coyote is coming through, sniffing around, thinks, oh, there might be some burrowing owls down there, just gonna smell a poo. Though if they were to get a whiff of the owl and start digging their way in, burrowing owls know how to combat this. They will start hissing and mimicking the noise of a rattlesnake, which will soon scare the coyote away. Now you may think Bing Bing looks very similar to a little owl, and that's because they are part of the same Athena family. The little owl is known as Athene noctur, where this guy is known as Athene canicularia, which literally translates to wise burrower. But they are extremely similar in a lot of ways. They've both got these beautiful yellow eyes, little mono brow, white bib, extremely small disc. But where it really changes is where it comes down to his legs. Little owls have booted, feathery feet, where Bing Bing here has extremely long legs for running around on the ground. as these guys live on and underground in burrows. They're more like meerkats than owls, as they do live in little family groups and can be often spotted out sunning themselves, standing up very, very tall, watching the world go by. But what they're doing is standing on alert, looking for predators, and Bing Bing plays the role of sentry for the whole group that we have here. And he will stand up extremely tall, scanning the farm, and what he's looking for are predators in the area. And if he spots one, he'll let off a high-pitched yipping sound, which in the wild would tell all their friends and family to get down underground where it's nice and safe. What is it, Bing? Bing, what is it? He has been part of the team ever since he was a baby owlet. He was all of 10 days old, a ball of downy fluff with eyes that were barely open. And he was imprinted by Stephen, and he'd run around the house causing lots of mischief, having little play fights with him. And that's why Bing Bing is such a well-rounded bird. He's highly trained, and he has to be because he's a little ambassador of his species. He plays an immense role in the company, coming to school visits, universities, plays a big part of our experience days. So he has to be cool and content in every single situation. And because we've had him such an early age, we've been able to show him a whole host of different environments, and Bing Bing's took them all in his stride. And what's great about him is he is so small. He's not intimidating like some of the big birds, so he's really able to let people come out in themselves and feel comfortable around such a sweet little owl. That's everything for today's episode. I really hope you've enjoyed meeting little Bing the burrowing owl. If you have, tell us what you think in the comment section. Like and subscribe, and check out our brand new Patreon page. Thank you so much to everybody that's already signed up. It is such great support during this hard time that we're going through. But other than that, I'll see you next time with more birds. Bye.